What's going on, everybody? This is the Silent Gamer, and this is episode number 34 of the First and Framerates podcast. You may know me as Silent Gamer. Some people know me as Virtual Footballer. Some people know me as VF Baller, which is my Twitter handle. You can always catch me there. I always post stuff about gaming and sports. And my two co-hosts, Bills and DJ, one had a prior arrangement. The other one is just doing other things as far as working and just having other time constraints to do other things. You know, like us at the end of the day, we're just a couple regular people. Well, we're all three of us, sorry. We're regular people that are just trying to make a podcast. You know, nothing special, nothing fancy. We just get on here and speak our mind. And for those who appreciate that, we really, really thank you for continued support. And we'll just continue to do what we do. But it's just going to be me solo today. And I have a handful of topics I want to talk about. First off, I do want to talk about Live 19, NBA 2K19. The games are out. I want to talk about those. I also want to talk about this past week of football, college football, NFL, some great stuff that some good sports just taking place throughout the weekend. And I want to touch on the Colin Kaepernick thing one more time. I got an article here I want to talk about. I know I did a First and Framerates mini where the NFL, I felt, just dropped the ball. And as far as finally following with what Colin Kaepernick was trying to say, it was just a little mini one. I just wanted to get something on my chest. But I have an article here. I'm just looking at it right quick. Yeah, I have an article here that I think it's going to be pretty interesting. But we're going to talk about Live, and we're going to talk about NBA 2K. Now, both games finally dropped, officially released this past Tuesday. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to give a score for both of them. And I'll be quite honest, if you like the sport of basketball, you're really in good hands. Live does have some shortcomings as far as some things that they could have implemented in game from years back. They still haven't done it. But as far as the game of basketball, when you play the game on the court, it's a fantastic game to play. Now, NBA 2K19, oh my goodness. This game is probably the best sports game that I've ever played. This is just hands down. I mean, we can always talk about the NFL 2K5s. We can talk about the NBA 2K11s. Just some games that were just revolutionary when they just came out. I can't really think of any Maddens outside like Madden 05. It just certain games when they just came out, it was just like you knew that this was it. NBA 2K19 is one of those games. I mean, and I could also talk about MLB The Show when they finally started to get they finally get their footing on the PlayStation 3, and you started seeing those games, and when they made the jump to PlayStation 4. I mean, just some fantastic games. I mean, you can go into the FIFA series. I mean, I'm not into soccer like that, so I don't know how big of a masterpiece those games are. But there are just certain games that are out there when you play them and you finally get your hands on them, and you just know. And even though in this day and age, we know we always try to find flaws in games, we always try to find problems in games, but we just have a situation with NBA 2K19 where when you're playing this game, it's something special. These guys at 2K done a fantastic job of putting this game together. And like I said, I'm going to talk about both of those games. That's just a brief synopsis of both of them. And but before I get on that, I want to make another quick little stop right here to talk about this hurricane that's coming our way. I live in South Carolina, and the hurricane should probably be here within the day of this upload. And I don't think anything crazy is going to happen. I live more inland or whatever, so it shouldn't be nothing too crazy on my end. Just a lot of wind, some rain, but nothing like if you were on the coast. But nevertheless, if things push come to shove, we are talking about evacuating and just getting to higher ground, because even with the wind and rain, you never know what might happen out here. So, so I am watching that, and I hope everybody else is watching that. Keep those people that's on the coast who haven't evacuate or just not able to evacuate, just keep them in your thoughts. Also, if just for their belongings, now those things can be replaced, but you never want to see anybody lose everything. It's just heartbreaking. So I just want to put that out there because I'm close to the hurricane. But we're going to get back to these basketball games, and we're going to continue to keep it pushing. All right, we're going to start off with NBA Live 19. This is going to be a review of NBA Live 19 for me, and I'm going to jump into 2K19. Live 19 is a very good basketball game. It has some moments where you could say you would just be wowed by some of the animations. The animations, for the most part, you're probably looking at about 90% of the time, are very fluid. They move well. They're very they fit with the position and the movement of the player. The ball to rim physics, it is so unpredictable, and a lot of people take that for granted. Just with the animations of the players and the way the ball goes around the rim or goes off to the side before it goes into the basket, those things, that is one small part of organic gameplay that nobody never talks about, because when that ball goes up, you don't know if it's going to go in or not. Now, Live had this situation where I think it was definitely in Live 15 and some parts of 16, where when you shot the ball, you knew exactly if it was going in or not. 18, they kind of got away from it. 19, they've done a fantastic job of that. And with that being said, you can get a very good game out of Live 19. Now, as far as on the court, now this is what I usually do. I usually talk about what's on the court. The presentation, ESPN, you already know how that is. The commentary could be better. But when I try to talk about these games as far as sports titles, it's always about replicating the sport based on the fundamentals. And Live, for the most part, Live has done a great job of putting that together. Could it be better? Yes. You will always want to have a dynasty mode, or you want your modes in general to be in a position where they can actually be flushed out, where everything is everything. Kind of like how we had back in the old days. Franchise modes, dynasty modes were the thing that pushed some of these sports titles. Now, with Live, it's like they went in a different direction with the street ball aspect. And now, the street ball aspect is good. And this is why I think this is where the game really shines. It shines where when you want to play a game with friends, you want to get on the street ball and you want to play, it does very well. Another thing I like about this game is when you're playing these street ball games, they really give you points and they deduct points for almost everything that you do. You still have to play smart basketball, which is something that 2K, the park and the neighborhood could really learn from. Just start penalizing people for not playing the right way. I know they have that in the Jordan Rec Center, and they have it, I think, in Pro-Am as well. But the park, they rarely, you don't really get penalized for doing craziness. It's just like fun and games. And I understand it. It is what it is. But Live is taking a more serious approach at it, where when you play street ball, you still playing a form of, smart basketball. Now, there's been a couple of updates in Live as of this recording. Matter of fact, as of today of this recording, there's been a couple of updates where, quite honestly, I went into a Dynasty mode game, and the game felt very, very good. I posted the stats on my Twitter. If you scroll down the timeline, you can see it. Very realistic stats. The gameplay was very realistic, and I did not feel cheated. Nothing crazy was going on as far as one person just overabundantly taking over the game. The AI actually played ball like they were supposed to, and that's what you will want to see when you're playing an NBA game. It's all about X's and O's on the court, movement, matchups, spacing, positioning. All that stuff was there. Now, if I could talk about anything that's bad about NBA Live, just quite frankly, it's just the modes. Dynasty mode is just not where it's at. The concept is there, and I like what they have. That's how it's set up. But it's just not there to where we're seeing that it actually functions. It's not necessarily a 100% carbon copy of 18, but we just know that without the player editing and without the AI actually doing trades and injuries or whatever, it's just not there. Now, maybe with this update they may have changed that, but I haven't had any notes to see if they have that there. So they do get a knock for that. Also, their animations are, like I said, 90% of the time they're there and they're really good. But there's those 10% where the animations just go a little wonky and it's kind of, it's just kind of weird. I mean, it's NBA Live. And we know where Live came from 14. Sometimes those things from the past rears ugly head, but there's no reason why you can't get a really good experience of playing basketball with this game. Another thing that I've noticed that some passes in this game are like really, really fast. Like you talking about a zip pass. No, these zip passes are very fast. Like I've been running pick and roll a lot, but when you try to pass that ball over pick and roll, that ball goes to the other player's hands so quickly, it looks very unrealistic. So those like really my gripes. It's just the modes aren't flushed out and the animations aren't all the way there. But I think it's still a good game. I mean, I don't care for the commentary. I listen to the commentary for about 20 seconds. I cut the commentary off. So when I play the game, it just feels like I'm in the arena. And the arena sounds always fantastic in live. So I'm here for that. And like I said, and one more thing before I close it out. I love the fact that you have to grind in NBA Live. I truly do. It feels like you working for everything, and it's just a beautiful thing to actually play the game and you feel like you're working to actually get better. Unlike just, with 2K, you could just buy maybe $200 worth of VC. You'll be at 90 in 2 days. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, that's just the way 2K rolls, and that's how they're going to continue to roll. I don't need to go into all the things that they've done to try to continue to keep this mechanic in the game. You can see that all on YouTube, how they're just look up 2K in Belgium. That'll tell you everything you need to know. But overall, I give NBA Live out of a score of 1 to 10. I can give NBA Live a really good 8. It's a really good 8. This game is very solid. If you buy this game, you can possibly get $65 worth or $60 worth of gameplay out of this game. You really can. I think you can get a really good value out of this game. So if you plan on buying it somewhere down the road, you're not going to be, disappointed. So with that being said, I think it's a good purchase if you do. Now let's jump to NBA Live. Let's start jumping to NBA 2K19. Man, let me tell you something. There's just some games that you get where and I'm not just talking about sports titles, just talking about games in general, where either you see the trailer or you see some gameplay or you just play the game for yourself and you just know immediately when you're playing it, you're playing something special. I felt this, the last time I felt this way is when I played NBA 2K11. Now, when I picked up 2K11, I just thought that this was mind-blowing because, first of all, I'm a Bulls fan, so the whole Jordan thing was just, that was just icing on the cake, so that just attracted me to the game. But when I started playing that game, I knew it was something amazing about it. 2K19 is no exception to that. They are pushing the envelope, and they just put every other sports game on notice to let you know, like, look, we are going to be the top dogs and you just got to deal with it. All the things you can do in that game, the fundamentals of their ball tangibility, the post moves, animations in general, and just the modes. Even though the game is a cash grab, the modes are there. You can grind your way up, but personally, I don't recommend it, but you can. The neighborhood is just fantastic. I love the Jordan Rec Center. I played a few games there. Even in the neighborhood, you can go to your facility and practice. You're my player. And I didn't even get into the my player aspect. And I really don't want to. I don't want to spoil anything. But that story is amazing. This is the best my player story that I've played ever. I know the ever since the Spike Lee joint, that was very questionable about how that played out. They had some memorable characters in there. The other one they had with Jackson Jackson Ellis, whatever. It was just weird how that played out. Last year, or was it year before, they had the orange juice thing. It just felt so corny. This year, this story is a little more mature. And I'm not saying mature like, older people rated, or is this like something that has certain content in it for not for children. I'm just talking about like it actually has like a really good basketball story where it's not trying to be something that it's not. It's not trying to be hip. It's not trying to be cool. It's not trying to keep up with the times. It's just trying to give you a basic story about one man's journey to the NBA. And I think they've done a very good job of it. So that was one thing that I wasn't really into, but it got me into it so quick. I just could not stop playing it. And I've been on my player ever since. And even after you finish the story, the my player aspect, you feel like you're in the NBA based on all the things you went through in the story. So I highly recommend playing that. And I'm a franchise dynasty mode guy, but I highly recommend it. I think it turned out to be very well put, and it's very good. And I think everybody should give it a shot. But as far as basketball on the court, play calling, fundamentals, everything is done very well. Everything's done well. They have a takeover meter where when you take over, it really shows that you have taken over the game. I've played a fefew games in Dynasty mode. Just can't get no better. I mean, the My League thing is just fantastic. And, you just can't get any better than that. You had some games who had a better mode like that, but 2K, once again, putting people on notice and saying, like, look, we're the top dogs here. And this is what we're going to do. So with that being said, you can't go wrong with that. All the animations play out very well. The game is buttery smooth. The response to the controller is excellent. I just can't say nothing else about it. I just hope they don't mess anything up by patching it or changing anything around or doing anything crazy, because we don't need that. I think this game is perfect where it is. And I think there's some other bugs or issues that I saw on Twitter that people were talking about they need to tweak. That's fine. But as far as gameplay, I'm okay with it. I had to open my drink, so sorry. Well, anyway, the park is great. You can't really do too much craziness on the park. If you play fundamental ball, you'll be fine. But, there's times that crazy park stuff still rears its head. People are out there to have fun. It is what it is. I get it. I'm not really tripping on it or nothing. It is what it is. But I played some games in Jordan Rec Center. You get penalized for not playing well. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And everything is just perfect the way that goes. I have no issue with how they set everything up in NBA 2K19. I can honestly say this game is a straight up masterpiece. I mean, there's very hard for things for me to critique on it. I gave NBA Live an 8. The only thing I can knock NBA 2K for is the microtransactions. It's a little egregious on it. I mean, you look at some of the things that you have to do to get certain things, get a backpack or something like that, or get a football or something like that. It is like it's way too much money to be getting these things, and it's ridiculous. But I do love the fact that when you play the game of basketball is respected. Just like NBA Live. I think both of them done a very good job of replicating the sport on the court, but 2K animations are just way better. Ball to rim physics, once again, I mean, they've always been top notch over there. Ball tangibility is absolutely amazing. We always had issue with ball tangibility in 2K. This year they got it right. They don't need to touch that at all. Dynasty mode, once again, I haven't touched my team. I have no reason to touch my team. My league, like I said, the Dynasty mode is fantastic. My player, my career is another one that's fantastic. You just can't go wrong with NBA NBA 2K19. I'm definitely going to have to give this game a 9.5. I easily could give this a 10, and it should be a 10. but that VC stuff is just a little bit over the top. If it wasn't for the VC stuff, I would not knock the game for what it is. But as far as fundamental basketball, it's perfect. I mean, no game is perfect, but I mean, in my eyes, it is. I mean, it is what it is. The game is just phenomenal. So, you guys, you can't go wrong with either game. Honestly, I prefer 2K over Live, but Live is no slouch. Live will give you a very good game. So, 8 is an 8 for Live and a 9.5 for 2K19, which quite honestly should be a 10, but they need to lay off the microtransactions because that could be a deterrent for people. But as far as the game of basketball, it is amazing. I just can't say it enough. All right, enough of the basketball talk. We're going to talk about some of these scores that has happened in the NFL in week 1. Sadly, I don't have my co-host with me. These guys they compliment me very well when I do talk about these games. First and foremost, my Atlanta Falcons. We can talk about them. They come up short again, lose 12-18 to the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what to say about the Atlanta Falcons. I truly feel that they are probably the most talented team in the NFL, but they just can't get it right for some unknown reason. I mean, well, we know the reason, but they just can't get it right. It's possible that if they would have beat the Eagles last year, they could have been 2-time Super Bowl champs. But, you know, we already know how 28-3 happened as well. But it just goes back. It's just something about the team. It's just not there. It's just not there. And you look at the play calling and all this other stuff. It's just abysmal. And I just hope that they can turn it around. But, you know, they have a couple of injuries as well. Keon O'Neal is out for the rest of the season. Deion Jones is out for the half of the season. So, therefore, I'll be watching them from a distance. And I'll be watching some college football. I just again became uninterested in the Falcons. They look like they haven't learned anything from last year as far as coaching anyway. A couple of other games that really shocked me. Tampa Bay put 48 up on New Orleans. I thought the Saints was going to run through this Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but they're showing that they could do something. And we'll find out if it was a fluke next week for Tampa Bay. And looking at some other games, ones that interest me, Pittsburgh and Cleveland ended up in a tie. That was actually pretty interesting because I thought Cleveland had that game at one point. And you see how that goes. Cleveland was Cleveland. The Browns will always be the Browns. What can you do? Let's see what else. Green Bay won in the Monday Night Football against against Chicago. Khalil Mack looked fantastic in that game. I don't know what happened. I didn't watch the rest of the game. All I know, I got up the next morning and I know that Aaron Rodgers came back in the game and they beat the Chicago Bears, which is that got to be somewhat of a letdown. Trust me, I know all about losing a big lead. You know, I'm a Falcons fan, so I know what it's like. But that has to be a letdown. So Baltimore put 47 up on Buffalo. I don't know what Buffalo's going to do with their quarterback situation. It looks terrible. We'll see what Josh Allen do next week. Let's see. Look like Tennessee loses to Miami. I heard somewhere that what's his name got hurt. Marcus Mariota got hurt. He got hurt, but he's still gonna be able to play the following week, so that's good. Because I thought he was out, but that's good. He's still gonna be able to play. New England beat Houston. You see how that goes. Jacksonville beat the Giants. Denver beat Seattle. That's my wife's team. She loves the Denver Broncos. That's cool. We could talk about the Jets. Look at this, 48-17 over Detroit. Man, the Lions is just, jeez. Man, I don't know. Sam Darnold looked pretty good, though. He looked really good. And then we have the Rams beating Oakland. And now we don't need to talk about Oakland. Oakland is just, $100 million for John Gruden. And look what you got so far. Yeah. But as far as the scores go, nothing really surprised me outside the Jets dropping 48. Tampa Bay dropping 48. Cleveland and Pittsburgh actually going into overtime. That actually surprised me too. Everything else that I see is pretty much the status quo. Green Bay won. Denver beat Seattle. It's just nothing out of the way that I think otherwise. So, yeah. So the NFL is chugging right along with Week 1. Have no issues with what's going on that end. We're gonna talk about a little bit about college football, which was pretty interesting. Week 2. We didn't get into Week 1 too much, but we can talk about Week 2 where we have Georgia, which is one of my teams because I'm a Georgia kid. They beat up on South Carolina, but rightfully so. The damn chickens just will never come up to the level of Georgia. That's just not going to happen. The damn chickens got put in their place once again, and I'm loving every bit of that. But with that being said, on the other side of the poll, you have Clemson beating Texas A&M 28-26, and there's already been rumblings, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, I don't know yet, I don't have the information in front of me, that Clemson and Georgia may flip spots because Clemson only won by 2 points and Georgia blew out a top 25 team. So we'll see how that goes later on this week. If I haven't seen the information on that. Florida was number 25 and they dropped to Kentucky, which was actually kind of surprising. But upon further review, I realized that Kentucky is not a bad team this year. They actually got some pretty good skilled players, so that was actually pretty interesting. I didn't know Boise State was ranked. They're number 20. They beat UConn 62-7, which was actually pretty interesting. Notre Dame beat Ball State 16-24. I thought that was going to be a bigger gap to that. Michigan shows themselves why they're a top 21 team. They beat Western Michigan 49-3. Let's see what else we have here that was actually interesting. The best game that I've seen this week was the Michigan State-Arizona State game. Michigan came in at number 15, and Arizona State was unranked. And Arizona State under Coach Herm Edwards did a phenomenal job of winning this game. This easily was one of the best games that I've seen in a long time. And I loved every bit of it. This was good football here. And with that being said, I just can't be more proud of, I can't be more proud of Herm Edwards and what he's done with Arizona State. These guys done a fantastic job to beat Michigan State. And I don't know. Oh, yeah, here we go right here. They moved up to number 23 in the rankings. So that's great. That's some good stuff right there. So it's a team that you haven't really watched. I think that team will be interesting to look at. So, and last but not least, we're going to talk about my team, my Georgia Southern Eagles. They beat UMass last week. They beat them 34-13 in single-handedly, good fashion. These guys really playing their heart out down there in Statesboro, and I love every bit of it. Great football town. I love every bit of it. And they're showing that they're back to the winning ways of old, because back in the day, I ain't going to say back in the day, this was just last year. They only won 2 games last year, and that's not Georgia Southern football. If you know Georgia Southern tradition, we play good football. We have 6 national championships in 1AA, the Division 1AA. We don't get those championships for just because. We pride ourselves in playing great football, and we're supposed to be playing. Clemson next week. This coming week. I'm sorry. We're supposed to be playing Clemson the upcoming week, and I don't know if that's going to happen because, like I said, I just talked about I just got finished talking about the hurricane coming through. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to play Clemson, and that's going to suck because I really wanted to see what Georgia Southern can do against a top-ranked team. This is the number 2, number 3 team in the country. So I'm really, I really want to see how they play, because Georgia Southern, they play well when they playing against big teams. I mean, you can go back and see when they played against Florida, they beat Florida. You can see when they played Alabama. Alabama has done a great job of putting their program on the map, and we went down there in Tuscaloosa, ran for 300 yards against them. And I don't know any other school that can do that against Alabama in Alabama. We go to Georgia all the time, and we keep a close game against Georgia. So we play up the competition all the time. When the competition is tough, we try to play our hearts out. But I don't think we may not be able to play against Clemson with this hurricane coming through. So it's just unfortunate, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, we're gonna jump to one more thing that I want to talk about before we go. This whole thing with Colin Kaepernick. Now, I don't have an issue with Colin Kaepernick at all. I mean, you can listen to the last podcast that I had put out there when it was just the First and Framerates mini, where I talked about the NFL basically messing up, trying to figure out what they need to do with the social justice thing. And they just seem to get it wrong all the time with the Me Too movement, the No More movement with the domestic violence stuff. And now they just finally jump on board with this when they tried to resist it for the longest. But, I don't want to repeat that last episode, but this is a new poll right here that says 19% say that they'll buy more Nike products after the Colin Kaepernick ad. Now, the ad was fantastic. I love the ad. The ad was great and very inspirational. I loved every bit of it. And but they say only 19% would buy more. Now, granted, this is a poll of 2,000 people, 2,000 plus people. So I can't say this is a big demographic or a big piece of the pie, but I'm actually kind of interested in this, and I just wanted to see what your thoughts are on it as well. It says 13 to 22 year olds and 22 to 34 year olds basically they say they value companies that are socially active. So those guys they love the fact that some companies that are socially active, 13 to 34 year olds, they really respect all of that when a company actually steps out and tries to put their foot forward with social issues that's plaguing America and stuff. So I think that's good stuff. And so let's see, where does it has anything else on here? But no, it just says a poll of 2,000 plus Americans shows that 19% will buy more Nike products. So that doesn't sound good at the end of the day. I mean, it's only 19% of 2,000, plus people. So you're probably looking at what, maybe 200, 400 people out of 2,000. Hey, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was interesting that, and to be honest, that is actually a low number. I thought it'd be a little bit higher than that as far as the percentage. I thought the percentage would be higher, but it's only, once again, 19% will say they'll buy more Nike products after seeing the ad. I'm not sure that it's about buying the products, honestly. I can take this a step further, and I don't want to get too much into it, but I feel like Nike just took an opportunity to just fatten their pockets. And as a company, what you expect is a business. What do you expect? And they use someone like Colin Kaepernick that is very controversial to get their name out there so people get more interest. Or as long as somebody talking about them, it's great. And it's good PR for them. But at the end of the day, I've always been on the side of what are we going to do about these police officers in these streets. A lot of people continuously to be sidetracked with the other stuff. Why Cap doesn't, why he's not in the NFL. What about this kneeling thing? What about the protest thing? We all know that this is a problem with unarmed people getting shot and killed. We know that. So with that being said, why aren't we trying to fix that? I can't say that nobody's doing nothing, because there's some NFL players doing some fantastic things. But why aren't, we need more people to do more, because we don't need any more tragedies going on where cops feel, like they can do whatever they want and, shoot unarmed people. I mean, and it's not all of them, because there's some fantastic ones. I worked in law enforcement. I know some great people in law enforcement, but it always just have to be that one cop. You got one cop, it's a problem. That one cop that makes that mistake, or he just deliberately shoots and kills someone unjustifiably, you have a problem. So that's my main focus. I'm not really worried about all of this other stuff, which I do find surprisingly that only 19% did say that they'll buy more. I thought it'd be more people to say that, look, we're gonna back this, and Nike's always been a great product anyway. So I always thought that had been, a no-brainer. So I just pretty much went down the whole list of things I wanted to talk about. First, in Framerates, I don't have my co-host; those guys aren't here with me. But I want to continue to push this content to you. If you haven't checked out my Twitter, you know what it is, VF Baller. You can check me there. I'm pretty much going to be doing more live streams and podcasting on here. So if you just want to check me out on a fly where I'm just playing a game, I'll be here on the channel. Also, you can check me out on SoundCloud, where the podcast will be uploaded to SoundCloud as well, so you guys can go check that out over there as well. If you don't want to be using YouTube and using all your data, just go over there to SoundCloud, where you can get the episodes there as well. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I'm pretty sure my co-host, they should be back next week with more content, bringing more uncut, uncensored, unfiltered commentary about sports and sports gaming. This is what we do, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.